We found a drenched child in the park. On a typhoon day, at around 1 a.m., a police officer suddenly visited. I was confused as I couldn't understand why. After all, my 2-year-old daughter was sound asleep in her bed. The girl the police officer brought with him was around 4 years old, wearing tattered clothes and was extremely thin. Tears filled her eyes as she shivered, looking at me. I was shown a note the girl was clutching, which had my name and address written on it. Could this possibly be? I instinctively hugged the girl. Fond memories flashed before my eyes. I am Emma, a 33-year-old housewife. I live with my husband, Richard, who is the same age as me, and our 2-year-old daughter. Although I enjoy a happy life with my kind husband and adorable daughter, I have a past I'd rather forget. It was something that happened 5 years ago. I got married for the first time when I was 28. My husband then was my boss at work, David. David, my senior, kindly taught me the ropes at work, and I was drawn to his confident and caring demeanor. After David asked me out, we dated for about 6 months and I quickly accepted his marriage proposal. My family liked him too, seeming to find him reliable. Especially my younger sister, Sophia, who was 5 years younger than me, was thrilled to have such a wonderful brother-in-law. David even once said to me, "I was surprised you had such a beautiful and cute sister." Sophia was not only pretty but also had a genuine and pure personality. When we were younger, she would always follow me around saying, "I love you, Emma." We were very close siblings. After marrying David, Sophia started to visit our new home frequently. I admire how mature David is. The boys around me are so childish, they can't compare. Thank you. It makes me happy to be complimented by a cute girl like Sophia. Although I felt uncomfortable seeing Sophia getting close to David and he seeming to enjoy it, my gut feeling soon proved to be right. One day, the two of them disappeared, hand in hand. They left behind a note from Sophia saying, "Sorry, big sister," and a completed divorce paper. People say life can be dramatic, but how many have experienced their husband and sister falling in love? Why didn't they tell me? I would have let Sophia have David. If I could truly despise them, it might have been easier. But I couldn't. I promptly submitted the divorce papers, and my short-lived marriage ended after about a year. It was Richard, my current husband, who saved me from the despair of being betrayed by my loving husband and sister. Richard was originally a friend from the same university club. He supported me until I recovered, proposed to me 3 years ago, and we remarried. We were blessed with our daughter and were living peaceful days. That's when the incident happened. At 1 a.m., the doorbell suddenly rang repeatedly. Despite the typhoon causing a violent storm outside, I wondered what on earth could be happening and gently stroked my daughter's head as she slept beside me, then got out of bed. Since my husband was away on a business trip, I felt anxious. Tentatively checking the intercom camera, I saw a police officer standing there. We found a soaked child in the park nearby. What? My daughter is sleeping in her bed right now. That's odd. The child has a note with your name and this address written on it. We'd like you to verify, so please open the door. When I opened the door, there stood the police officer and a skinny, soaked girl who looked about 4 years old, wearing tattered clothes. She stared at me with a curious expression, and the note she held tightly read, "Please take care of this child." Furthermore, I recognized the handwriting. I instinctively knelt down and took her cold hand. Her icy hands and tear-filled eyes looked at me as she shivered violently. "This child is..." I gasped, embracing her. Fond memories of my younger days, when I used to hug my sister Sophia, who was 5 years younger than me, flooded my mind. She looked just like my younger sister, and the handwriting on the note was unmistakably Sophia's. I told the police. She's probably my niece. Still, I wondered why such a small child was alone in a park at midnight. What's your name? Lee. Linda. Linda, why were you in the park? I came in front of this house with Mom. Then, Mom disappeared, so I was looking for her. Young Linda couldn't explain any further. As the storm intensified outside, every loud gust of wind made Linda jolt with fear, so I reassured her, saying, "It's okay." She was soaked through, so I needed to bathe her to warm her up and change her clothes to prevent her from catching a cold. I prepared some hand-me-down clothes I'd received from a friend. However, as I was helping Linda undress in the washroom, I was shocked to discover multiple bruises on her body, as if she had been pinched and hit. I couldn't bear to think of the suffering she might have endured. Furthermore, she had a hand-sewn amulet hanging from her neck. Although I was very curious about it, I decided to give her a bath first. After the bath, as I combed her hair and dressed her in clean clothes, Linda transformed, looking so lovely and clean. Although thin, she unmistakably resembled my sister Sophia when she was young, confirming she was Sophia's daughter. I wrapped Linda in a blanket on the bed and held her close. "Sleep peacefully. It's warm." And with that, she drifted off into a deep sleep, her breathing steady and calm. The next morning, while Linda and my daughter were still asleep, a phone rang. It was from an unknown number. Answering it, there was only silence, save for faint breathing. "Sophia." "Is that you, Sophia?" "No, it's me." "David. It's been a long time. I'm glad your phone number hasn't changed, Emma." The voice belonged to David, my ex-husband. "Why are you calling now? This might sound strange, but are you looking after a little girl?" She hesitated, recalling the events of the previous night, and played dumb. "What are you talking about? How's Sophia doing?" Despite her inquiry, David refused to answer, simply stating, "It's better this way," before hanging up. The night before, after Linda had fallen asleep, Emma had noticed something bulky in her charm and found a letter inside. The letter read, "Dear sister, I'm sorry. I know it's too late to ask, but please help my daughter, Linda." The letter revealed a shocking truth that left me shaking in anger. The letter also mentioned where Sophia worked. I decided to visit my sister, Sophia. I entrusted Linda and my daughter to my mother's care. Seeing Linda, she remarked, "She looks just like Sophia," her eyes filling with tears as she began her tale. "About a week ago, Sophia suddenly called. She said she wanted to apologize in person and asked for your address. So that's how she got my address. Even after everything she did, she sounded so desperate. I felt I had no choice but to tell her. I'm sorry. It's not your fault, Mom. Thanks to you, I might be able to help Sophia." "What?" "That's why I need you to look after the kids." Emma then left for the bar where Sophia worked, which was about a 30-minute taxi ride away. I wish she had reached out sooner if she was this close. The place was at the edge of the entertainment district, a quiet, rundown bar. Inside, the dim lighting mixed with the smell of alcohol and tobacco. Asking the apparent owner about Sophia, he immediately called her out. Sophia, who used to be plump and beautiful, now appeared frail and pale. I was at a loss for words seeing my sister, who was still in her 20s, looking like a worn-out middle-aged woman. "Is that really you, Sophia?" "Yes." "I'm so sorry, Emma." Sophia swayed, collapsing into my arms. The bar owner coldly remarked, "She's not feeling well and can't work. Take her with you." I instantly realized that Sophia had been mistreated there. Without hesitation, I took my sister to a city hospital. Sophia was told by the doctor who diagnosed her, "You're severely ill, and it's too late to seek treatment. You don't have much time left." Consequently, Sophia decided to be hospitalized immediately. Overwhelmed by shock, I returned home to inform my family, and Mom began to sob uncontrollably. Unable to hold back any longer, my emotions spilled over as tears. "I'll take care of Linda. Mom, let's support Sophia together." "Yes. I'll do everything I can." After making a promise with Mom, I returned home with Linda and my own daughter. That night, when my husband came back from a business trip, he was utterly surprised to see another child in addition to our daughter. When I discussed the situation about Linda with Richard, he said, "Let's pray for Sophia to get well. Until then, let's take care of and raise Linda." The next day, when I brought Linda to the hospital, she tearfully rushed into Sophia's arms. "Mom, I've missed you." "Linda, I'm sorry. Are you okay?" "Yes, I'm fine. Auntie is very kind." Sophia, with tears in her eyes, affectionately stroked Linda's hair. My younger sister then thanked me and entrusted me with something, asking me to use it to protect Linda. From that day, Linda stayed with us, and we frequently took her to visit Sophia in the hospital. After about 10 days, the previously emaciated Linda began to look healthier, with her cheeks filling out and her face regaining color. She even started to smile more. Linda began to adore my daughter as if I were her own sister, and we got along as though we had been sisters forever. While watching the two play and feeling heartened, I received a call from Mom. She informed me that David had just arrived at our family home. He then threatened her. "You're hiding Sophia and Linda, aren't you? Bring them out now." I was so scared, I ended up giving David Emma's address. "I'm sorry. Quickly run and make sure he doesn't find them." As I was hurrying the children to leave, the doorbell kept ringing persistently. Could it be that David has already arrived? Checking the intercom, sure enough, there he stood, his face filled with anger. Seeing him made my blood boil. Despite Sophia's deteriorated health, David appeared more robust and even fatter than before. Upon opening the door, David, without any sign of remorse, confronted me. "I heard you remarried, didn't you? Living in such a nice house, leading a luxurious life, huh? That's none of your business, especially after you abandoned me." "I don't care about that. I know Sophia and Linda are here. Bring them out now. Even if they are here, I won't hand them over to you. Without Sophia working, there's no money. Bring her out now." At that moment, Linda burst out, yelling, "I hate you, Dad. You always bullied Mom. What? How dare you, brat." David was about to raise his hand to Linda when I immediately stepped in front of them. "Sophia is hospitalized. All because you made my sick sister work and didn't let her see a doctor, and now it's irreversible. This is all your fault." The letter from Sophia, which was inside a protective case, described what happened after she disappeared with David. They eloped after discovering she was pregnant and Linda was born, but they quickly ran out of money and became impoverished. Then, David suddenly changed, blaming everything on Sophia and started verbally abusing both Sophia and Linda. The money Sophia earned from working at the bar was all taken by David, who wasted it on gambling and frivolous activities, leaving them in a state where they struggled even for food. Over time, the stress took a toll on Sophia, and her health deteriorated. However, due to their financial situation, she couldn't even visit a hospital. Sophia thought, "I won't be able to raise Linda like this. I want to at least save my child," and decided to entrust her to me. However, upon hearing this, instead of showing remorse, David only spewed hateful words. My life was ruined because of Sophia and Linda. It's only natural for them to make it up to me, right? I don't know about your life, but everything that happened is a consequence of your own actions. You brought all of this upon yourself, didn't you? No. Sophia came on to me, and I just got involved with her reluctantly. It's all her fault. That's ridiculous. Even though you were the mature one, you deceived young Sophia. You did terrible things to both my sister and Linda. I will sue you. You have no evidence. You think you can say that after seeing this? I showed David a photo of Linda covered in bruises and a medical certificate indicating the bruises on Sophia's body. David's face turned pale for a moment, but he immediately began to mock and berate me. That's why I say women are shallow. You don't even know who's responsible for that, do you? Especially for Linda, people might think it's something her mother did. So you were that kind of despicable man. I have more evidence. Look at this. I showed him the phone entrusted to me by Sophia. It contained audio of David hurling abuses and displaying acts of violence, which served as solid evidence. David, enraged, suddenly lunged at me, attempting to snatch the phone. Stop. What are you doing? At that moment, with a shout, Richard and the police arrived, pulling David's hands away from me. In fact, right after hearing from Mom, I had called the police and my husband. David, what you did to Sophia and Linda is unforgivable. I'll hand over all the evidence to the police. Reflect on your actions. David was then taken away in a police car. Richard looked at me with a mixture of exasperation and concern, sighing deeply. You should have waited for me. You took a big risk. I'm sorry. I just couldn't stand David. Are you hurt? Watching my caring husband, I realized how grateful I was to be married to him. That night, I received a call from the hospital that Sophia's condition had drastically worsened. I rushed to the hospital with Linda. Sophia was barely breathing but was still conscious. Sophia, hold on. David has been arrested by the police. Everything will be all right now. Sis, I'm sorry. I messed up. What are you talking about? It was my fault for introducing you to such a man. It's not your fault. Thank you. Please, take care of Linda. It's all right. I will take care of her until you get better. Stay strong. Mom. Linda, I'm sorry. Mom will always watch over you from the sky. Grow up to be a good girl. Mom, I promise to be good, but I want to be with you. Linda. From then on, Sophia lost consciousness and, despite our prayers, she passed away quietly the next day. I can't help but feel that if I had stayed with David, maybe my daughter and I would have been in danger. Perhaps Sophia became my substitute. As a result of the trial, David went to prison. Our parents, on behalf of Sophia, claimed property division and child support. David's parents apologized for his actions and agreed to repay the money. They mentioned that when David is released, he will be put to work to repay the debt. Linda expressed her wish to live with our family, so we decided to adopt her. The property division and child support received are being saved for Linda's future. Now, my daughter loves Linda as if she were her real sister. Watching them together reminds me of my sister and me when we were young. I am determined to closely watch over their growth